In this gripping, high-stakes sequel to the landmark post-apocalyptic thriller 1 Second After, William R. Forstchen returns to the scarred landscape of Black Mountain, North Carolina, to explore the fragile, brutal dawn of political reconstruction. Set exactly 12 months after a high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, EMP, permanently fried the nation's electrical grid, the story finds John Matherson fighting a new kind of war. The initial horrific waves of starvation, disease, and immediate tribal violence have finally begun to subside, leaving a traumatized community trying to establish a baseline for long-term survival. However, the true threat shifts from a lack of resources to a struggle for sovereignty. A self-proclaimed new American government, operating out of the ashes of the old federal apparatus, sends a despotic, authoritative administrator named Federal Administrator Bob Scales into the valley. Backed by a brutal, forced conscription army known as the Day of National Awakening Forces, Scales demands that Black Mountain surrender its remaining food, weapons, and young men to a centralized totalitarian regime. The narrative functions as an exceptional exploration of the Reconstruction tyranny and the price of sovereign autonomy archetypes. Forstchen masterfully utilizes the martial law rebirth trope, shifting the focus of the post-apocalyptic genre away from standard primitive survival and directly into the complex arena of political philosophy and state overreach. The novel explores a high-tension totalitarian consolidation dynamic, mapping out how desperate, fractured societies can easily trade their individual liberties for the mere promise of security and centralized distribution from a distant, unaccountable government. Forstchen's writing style is emotionally raw, historically informed, and relentlessly detailed. Drawing on his expertise as a military historian, he excels at logistical and tactical realism, forcing the characters to confront the stark mathematical calculations of a long-term grid-down world, including the complete lack of industrial manufacturing, the reliance on horse-drawn transportation, and the brutal ethics of military triage. The pacing is a slowly tightening vice, building friction through diplomatic standoffs, localized skirmishes, and tactical betrayals until it erupts into an all-out battle for regional independence. The book tackles heavy themes of the inherent danger of centralized authority during a crisis, the definition of true patriotism when the old laws are dead, and the preservation of constitutional ideals in a ruined world. It asks a terrifyingly pragmatic question. When the government that failed to protect you returns to rule you with an iron fist, do you kneel for safety, or do you fight the ghost of your old country? As Matherson organizes a desperate guerrilla resistance composed of local citizens, college students, and veteran survivors, the stakes expand from basic community protection to a fundamental battle for human dignity. The beautiful, dense Blue Ridge Mountains serve as a tactical chessboard where local knowledge of the terrain becomes the ultimate weapon against a larger, better-equipped standing army. The narrative tension is perfectly sustained by a moral catch-22 element. Matherson knows that open rebellion against the federal government risks the complete annihilation of everything he has spent the last year keeping alive, but compliance means handing his family and his town over to a brutal dictatorship. By the final conflict, 1 year after delivers an incredibly moving, thought-provoking climax that acts as a profound warning about the fragility of liberty and the true cost of rebuilding a fallen nation. If you love hyper-realistic, high-IQ post-apocalyptic thrillers that prioritize political philosophy, military strategy, and deep human stakes, think authors like Cormac McCarthy, Bobby Ackhart, or Mark Goodwin. This spectacular expansion of the Matherson universe is a vital, unforgettable read.